community support. Helene Blisky has a message for her community.
Support local shows. A lot of them are run by committees that are more older in age. We bust our guts to do this. It's not easy. It looks like it all comes together, but it's months and months of organising, communicating with vendors. We do our best, and it's all about just putting agriculture on the map, because it is food, fibre, fodder. It's what we all need to survive. So get behind them. It's the best day, family, couple. It's the best day out.
Helene Blisky in the South Australian Flinders Ranges town of Melrose, sending that story from Kate Higgins. You'll find more on that story on the ABC homepage. Head to abc.net.au, search for Upward Country. That's the show for today. I'll chat to you again next week.
Someone handed me a secret recording.
We've got to get rid of all those loose ends, okay?
For years now I've been investigating this guy.
What, you stab him in the neck with a knife?
He's known as Mr. Big. His tentacles spread to the very heart of the justice system.
I don't just need it under the carpet. I need it to be fixed.
I'm Alicia Bridges. I find out who he really is in Mr. Big, a new true crime podcast from Unravel. Search for Unravel now on the ABC Listen app.
I'm Nick Bryan, and coming up on Extra, this year's Nobel Prize winner for economics, Simon Johnson, on why some countries are rich and others are poor. The survival of the wireless steelworks as the South Australian Cabinet heads to the town to reassure workers and residents about what should be a green steel asset. And Brendan Cowell will be here to talk about his new ABC TV series, Plant. All ahead after the news.
ABC News with Michaela Ortolin. Good afternoon. Qantas has been ordered to pay compensation of up to $100,000 to workers who were made redundant during the COVID pandemic. Business reporter Rachel Clayton reports. Last year, the airline was found guilty of illegally outsourcing 1,700 baggage handlers in 2020. Today, the federal court has ordered Qantas to pay compensation ranging from $30,000 to $100,000 to 3 test case employees. These test cases will help streamline compensation calculations for all 1,700 former staff. The union and Qantas will now enter mediation to determine how much each worker is owed. The airline will also need to pay about $85 million in economic losses based on an average annual wage of $50,000 per worker. Caps on stamp duty savings will be removed for off-the-plan apartments, units and townhouses bought in Victoria over the next 12 months. The state government has announced it's allowing all construction costs to be deducted from the sale price when calculating stamp duty instead of the capped amount. It's also announced stamp duty waivers will be extended to investors, not just owner-occupiers and first home buyers. The Premier, Jacinta Allen, says it's part of the plan to build more homes across the state. You're looking at purchasing an apartment worth around $620,000. These changes will reduce those stamp duty costs from $32,000 down to $4,000, a significant and meaningful saving for buyers. Hundreds of Beirut residents have fled their homes following Israeli evacuation orders, as rescuers in northern Gaza are still recovering people from the rubble after an Israeli attack reportedly left nearly 90 people dead. Linda Grun reports.
Large explosions can be heard across the Lebanese capital. Israel has warned residents to leave their homes as it prepares to attack sites linked to the financial operations of the militant group Hezbollah. Panicked crowds clogged the streets and caused traffic jams in some parts of Beirut as they try to get to neighborhoods thought to be safer. Israel has also intensified its attacks in northern Gaza. The Hamas-run health ministry says dozens of people died in an attack on a residential area. Israel says it's checking the numbers and insists it was a precision attack against a Hamas target.
Donald Trump says he's had a very nice call with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Republican candidate for US President says Mr. Netanyahu asked his opinion about what to do with Iran. Israel is still pondering its military reaction to recent Iranian missile strikes. Mr. Trump says they had a very good talk that lasted for a while.
I congratulated him on obviously doing a very good job keeping Israel safe. He's doing very well. He calls me on occasion. I think he wants my views on things. He's had very little cooperation from the White House, as you know.
Fans of Liam Payne have been holding vigils around the world in memory of the One Direction star. Bridget Rollison is in London, where hundreds gathered at Kensington Gardens.
A lot of them were in tears as they left handwritten notes and letters and left flowers and candles. A lot of the reason some of these fans said that why Liam's death has hit them so hard is because of the fact that they'd always hoped that One Direction would get back together and do a reunion. Investigations are still ongoing into Liam Payne's death after he fell from a third-story balcony at his hotel in Argentina on Wednesday. Now, his former bandmate Zayn Malik, who he was in One Direction with, has announced that he's postponed his solo tour as he deals with what he described as this heartbreaking loss.
For sport, Manchester City remains 1 point clear at the top of English soccer's Women's Super League after beating Aston Villa 2-1. Steph Catley and Caitlin Ford started for Arsenal in a 2-0 win over West Ham. To the weather now for the state, mostly sunny and dry in the north, partly cloudy in the south with a chance of an isolated shower over East Gippsland at first, becoming sunny in the afternoon. For Melbourne, mostly sunny with a top of 25 degrees today. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and 29 degrees. Wednesday, a shower or two and 20 degrees. Thursday, shower or two and 17 degrees. Friday, possible shower and 16 degrees. Saturday, mostly sunny and 19. It's currently 19 degrees. ABC News.
ABC Radio National. Listen live and listen later on the ABC Listen app.
Welcome to Extra. I'm Nick Bryan. We'll be talking to the winner of this year's Nobel Prize for Economics on the enduring legacy of colonisation on countries rich and poor. The South Australian Cabinet heads to Whyalla, where concerns are mounting about that town's green steel future. Plus, the fusion of rugby league, poetry, and even some magical realism. The new ABC drama Plum, starring Asha Keddy and Brendan Cowell. Well, she could be about to become the world's most powerful figure. But there are still many Americans who want to learn more about Kamala Harris, her background, her beliefs, her vision for the United States. One of the reasons why Joe Biden was initially reluctant to step aside as the Democratic presidential nominee was because of doubts over whether his deputy could vanquish Donald Trump. But since seizing that fabled torch, she's confounded many of her critics, even if doubts still persist. Courtney Subramanian covered Vice President Harris for the Los Angeles Times and got to see her up close. Now with the BBC, she's been telling me what she saw.
She's actually a very funny, personable person. She's probably somebody who has one of the biggest potty mouths I've ever met, which is not something you expect from a politician, let alone the Vice President of the United States. But all of that remains behind this curtain of Kamala Harris. She's very much fixated on looking poised, looking presidential, and really presenting herself as a strong woman.
I want to talk about the transformation of Kamala Harris, in the public mind at least. And a good place to start, it seems to me, is when she first ran for the presidency in 2019.
I stand before you today, clear-eyed, about the fight ahead and what has to be done.
Courtney, she didn't have a great campaign. I wonder why that was.
Yeah, you know, she had these very gauzy campaign slogans that didn't offer much. Her campaign really struggled on which issues to emphasize, and she was short on specifics on, you know, a lot of these policy questions at a moment when she was running in a Democratic primary where she was among a field of candidates that were really trying to define some of these issues, and, you know, a lot of them were being forced to tack to the left. She constantly wavered between the party's liberals and centrists, and she really struggled to define herself. And I think that, you know, along with some staff turmoil within the campaign, that's ultimately what led to her campaign's collapse.
Now, ironically, perhaps the high point of her campaign was an attack she launched on Joe Biden, during one of the debates that year. She tackled him on his opposition in the early 1970s to busing. That's the transporting of black kids across town in order to desegregate white schools.
Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America?
No.
Do you?
So, Courtney, I wonder how she went from attacking Joe Biden to becoming his running mate.
I think there's a couple things that really helped her sort of mend the bridges with Joe Biden. I think, one, she had forged a friendship with his son, Beau Biden, who had died of brain cancer during her time as California's Attorney General. And that was important, especially because that episode with Joe Biden on the debate stage really rankled some of his inner circle, and especially his wife, Jill Biden, who was really embittered by the attack. But I think her personal connection to the family and Beau Biden's affinity for her helped mend those wounds. But ultimately, I think it was how she looked on paper that really affirmed the decision for Biden. She was a woman, which was important for him to choose a female running mate. She was younger, which fit with his promise to